Okay, it's been about 10 minutes and our roast is just about there. I want to give you a show of what it's supposed to look like. Dark brown. See that? Both sides. And if you have a thick side, go ahead and sear that too, because it locks in the juices of the roast. Okay? What we're going to do is take and get this into our crock pot. I just have the crock on my stove. If yours doesn't remove, that's fine. It's okay. Just put it in the crock pot. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add 1 can of tomato paste into our pan that we braised the roast with. Okay? Like this. And it could be any brand name. Or a generic. That's fine too. Oh, I'm missing some. Yeah, my house is full of smoke. It's crazy. But it's going to be so good. It's so worth it. Okay. Once you add that in, I've used 3 teaspoons of prepared garlic. Now, if you're using fresh garlic cloves, use 6 cloves. Okay? Add that in. I'm going to use a tablespoon of beef base. And you can use bouillon. If you don't have base, bouillon's fine. It's just a little more salty. That's okay. Turns out just fine. Now pour that in. And then 1/3 of a cup of flour. And we're going to cook this down. Kind of like a roux. Remember when we made the roux for the stew? Yep, kind of like that. My stove is a complete disaster. It's a good thing this recipe is perfect every time. I know, right? Okay, get those things out of the way. And we're just going to saute this down. Have on hand 1 cup of red wine. And everybody's like, I can just skip the wine. No, you can't. Nope, don't do it. You'll end up with the brown loafer that we threw over there. Don't do it. Here's the reason. There are only certain things that tenderize meats. Citric acids, like orange juice, lemon juice, limes, tomatoes. There is vinegars, balsamic, ciders, whites, whatever. There are soy sauces, alcohol, hence the wine. We want a juicy, tender roast. This is one of those steps that you just can't skip. I know you want to because you want to spring for the wine, but here's the deal. If you are not a wine drinker and you want to cook with wine, put it in ice cube trays. They freeze beautifully. It freezes up. And you can just put it in a Ziploc bag, crack the tray, put them in a Ziploc bag, save them for later. The next recipe that needs red or white wine, you have it on hand. You don't have to go get a bottle of wine. Yeah, I know, I understand. Now, my friends are like, leftover wine, what's that? You know? Anyway, we're going to go ahead and saute this up, all right? And we are actually cooking the flour, just like in a roux, all right? And then, I gotta check my heat here because I can't see it. Yeah, it's up pretty high. We don't want to burn the flour. We just want to cook it. Because flour, when you're adding into a recipe, this will actually give it some flour. And it is your thickening agent, which is exactly what you want. Okay? Keep going with that. Just mash it down. And you can tell it's about done when it starts to stick to the bottom of the pan. Now turn your heat down quite a bit at this point. All the way down to low. Because we're going to put our alcohol in. Please don't spill this. Okay? Be very careful. Because alcohol is flammable. And pour it in. Oh yeah. This is called deglazing, okay? Yep, we want the pan to deglaze. And what that means is all the drippings from the roast, all the browning of the flour, all that, we want it off the pan. Okay? We also want to take and you know, kind of liquefy that tomato paste because it's thick, you know. And we're going to cook this down until the wine is about half of its original value. So about half of a cup. All right? Be careful. It is flammable. It's not as flammable as something like a bourbon, but it is flammable. Okay? Just deglaze that pan a bit. Beautiful. Scrape off all those goodies. You want them. You definitely want them. This is what's going to give your roast loads of flavor. Okay? All right. That looks like it's just about done. And it's still going to be pretty goopy. Okay? Expect that. But we want to incorporate that wine into the tomato paste. Awesome. That's perfect. Okay? Now, we're going to take 2 cans of diced tomatoes, and you can use the ones with the flavors if you want, or you can use whole plum tomatoes if you don't have diced tomatoes on hand. That's just fine too. All right? Go ahead and give that a stir. Oh yeah, that is going to be awesome. Lovely. Okay, now it's time to add in our spices. So I am going to use a teaspoon of basil. And if you're not a basil fan and you love sage, you can use sage instead. Now I'm going to use a teaspoon of rosemary. Okay? I love rosemary. If you're not the biggest rosemary fan, you can go down to half a teaspoon. That's fine. And this is going to seem like the weird ingredient. Okay? This is nutmeg. And you're like, what? Nutmeg? That's for like eggnog and cookies. Yeah, well, it gives it just a hint of sweet nuttiness that it just tops it off. Don't ask me questions. I'm telling you. Just kidding. Yep, half a teaspoon of nutmeg. And a quarter of a teaspoon of crushed chilies or red pepper flakes. I'm using crushed chilies. Okay. Salt and pepper to your taste. Awesome. Okay, let's give that a stir. Beautiful. Okay. Now, we're just going to pour this on top of our roast in our crock pot. Okay. Oh, baby. We're going to add 1 cup of water. Three bay leaves. And I have prepared over here a 1.5 pounds of red skin tomatoes, or potatoes, sorry. Red skin potatoes, 1.5 pounds, just diced into bigger cubes, like this, okay? 2 medium-sized onions sliced, and 20 baby carrots. And we're just gonna put them on top. That's it. I know. Who'd have thought making the perfect roast was that easy? Okay, now we're going to get it into our crock pot at a low setting if you're going low, because you have lots of time 8 to 9 hours, then go low. If you don't have that much time, you have 4 to 5 hours, then go high. It's that simple, and it will be the best roast you ever made. Now, let me promote myself. I'm Lisa Lockhart of the Spice Chicks. That was our beautiful babe Basil, and our Rosemary without the baby, and our wannabe prom queens crushed chilies, and our never dull moments. I named these things then. We have 95 of them, so there you go. Anyway, never a dull moment nutmeg, salt and pepper, and beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I hope you enjoy this recipe. I'm pretty sure you will. And I will see you soon. Have a great day. Bye.